Okay, so now we're going to take a look at how to build objects in Illustrator using simple primitives. And we're going to start out super basic simple and then sort of move up a little bit. So before I get started, just so you know, I'm working in the Essentials workspace. And it's a very minimal workspace. Properties, layers, and libraries. Don't even need the libraries, but properties and layers we do want. So we're going to start with this, and before we're done, we'll actually add some other windows, but I try to work as many things in here as I can. So let's begin by, I have an 8-ball, and we're going to create just a simple piece of artwork here. And I went online, grabbed this. The first thing about creating art elements in Illustrator, just like anything else you'll do, drawing or whatnot, is that you should really find good reference for the material that you're going to be creating. So this is pretty simple. It's actually what I want to create. So, but a lot of times I'll have multiple images spread around on my pasteboard to reference as I'm illustrating. So anyway, we are going to begin by creating this 8-ball. Like I said, super simple, black and white piece of artwork. The first thing I want to do is I like centering my artboard, knowing where the center of it is, especially for something like this. So if I hit Command key and the R key on my keyboard, that will bring up my rulers. And I can also grab those under my view menu, go down to rulers, show or hide rulers. So I've got that. And what I want to do is put guide marks, a horizontal and a vertical guide mark that are precisely centered on this artboard. So I'm going to go to my window menu and come down and I'm going to grab my align panel. And that'll bring this up. And the benefit here is that it's also going to be my transform panel as well as pathfinders, which we're going to use. So I'm just going to take this, click on the bar at the top and drag it over top of this strip so it turns blue, and that'll dock those to that shape. So I am going to click on my ruler and drag out, and this will bring out a guide. And I'm going to do the same thing from the top. And when I do this, they're locked onto the artboard. But if I go to my view menu, guides, I can unlock these guides. So I'll select unlock. Now I can grab them and move them around. But I'm not going to move them painstakingly, try to line them up to the correct measurements. I'm simply going to select my horizontal guide, go to my align panel, make sure that Align to Artboard is selected, and I'm going to center align this object. And I'm going to do the same thing with my horizontal guide. Align panel, except this time I'm going to horizontally, I'm going to align it to the center vertically. This is the center of my artboard. So now I'll go back to my view menu, guides, lock guides. So now I can't move these around. So there's my first step. Second is going to be that I'm going to create my two shapes. Basically, when I look at this, I can see that I have one ellipse, a second ellipse, and then I've got this number 8, which we're also going to create, although not spend a lot of time on it. So I'm going to go over here to my toolbar, and I'm using this simple basic toolbar. There's another version with 2 columns. I'm using the basic one for now. And if I click and hold on this, it'll pop up my different shapes. And I'm going to make sure I select my ellipse tool, which is actually L on my keyboard. And I am going to draw a circle and fill it with black. Now, something that's important to point out whenever I do this, I don't want to get too deep into how tools work, but if I select that ellipse, I can also place my cursor directly on my center points, hold down my Option key and my Shift key, and that will draw my shape out from the center of my artboard. And if I want to be diligent about it, I can also go back over here to my align panel and make sure that I align it to the center. And now I'm going to do the same thing for the white circle in the middle. Let's deselect. Let's deselect that. Oops. Deselect that. And Option and Shift, and I'm just going to draw out from the middle. And take a little bit of license with that, make that actually a little bit bigger than it is in the original. And I'm just going to, for the time being, fill this with white, just so we can see what's going on. And then I'm just going to make sure that it's centered on my artboard as well. Now, the next thing I need is my number 8. So I'm going to go back over here to my toolbar, and the T is my type tool. Select that. And I'm just going to click in here and type in 8. The typeface doesn't matter if you're doing this with me. It's just here for place. So the typeface that I'm using, though, is Calibri Bold. That was the default. So I can't keep this type as live type. It's, you see right now, I could change this if I wanted to a 4 or a 7 or whatever. But I want this to remain an 8, and I need for it to be a piece of artwork, and it's not right now. If I do Command Y on my keyboard to switch to outline mode, you'll see that it's still solid and it's not a path shape. So let's go back to my preview. With this type selected, I'm going to go to my type menu, down to Create Outlines. It's also Command Shift O. And now you see that changed, and if I go back Command Y on my keyboard, you can see that it is now an outline shape, a path shape. So I've got all the elements that I need. And so let's go ahead then, and we're going to create a compound path out of this, because remember I said we're going to create a single black piece of artwork. So I'm going to select the circle in the middle, and I'm going to select my outside circle, just those two. And I'm going to I can do this two ways. I'm going to subtract, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract the white from the black. So if I go over here, put away my align tools, if I go down here to this panel, my pathfinders, basically what pathfinders do are allow you to combine objects or to subtract objects from each other. All these options, and that's basically what they all do. So the second one, the first one is unite. The second one is what I want, and that's minus front, which will take any object that's in the front, which is my white, and it'll subtract it from the object in the back. So I'm just going to click on that. And now if I really quickly drag this over, you'll see that it's now a compound path, because I can see through it. And if I take a look at my layer panel here, the object that I have selected is a compound path. So there's the first. Now I also need to include this 8. So I'm going to select the 8, and I'm going to select the ball itself. I'm going to go to my object panel, down to the bottom, compound path. I'm going to make a compound path. Now when I return to my layer panel, this object that's selected, here's the red dot, you can see that it is now a compound path. So if I drag this out over here on top of my pasteboard, I can see through it. And what this allows me to do is, if I want to change the color of this to red, let's go back to my window menu here. Let's go bring up our swatches. I'm just going to dock this real quick. Open up my swatches and select pink. It's going to change everything to pink. So this is now one compound path. And I've created a very simple piece of artwork using nothing more than primitives and a type tool. Now, if I want to, I could step this up to the next level maybe. So let's put a little more style to this. So I think I want what I want to do is add a darker out, like a white outline and then a darker outline to it to make it a little more like a piece of logo artwork. And maybe I actually want for the background to be white, but I always want to be able to change the color of this ball.